babes, welcome to my channel. I'm Maria, aka Agape Love Girl. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today I'm going to be responding to your unpopular opinions. I did ask on my community tab as well as on my Instagram for you guys to share your unpopular opinions concerning makeup, beauty, fashion, brands, influencers, and social media. I had hoped to make this a little bit more of a broad unpopular opinions video, not just beauty, but I feel like most of these do have to do with makeup and beauty, and that's totally okay. But if you guys do like this type of video and would like to see me film some more of them, or if you just have some unpopular opinions to share that you maybe want to see me respond to or react to concerning some of the other topics I asked about, feel free to leave them in the description box, in the comment section. And if there's enough of them and enough interest, I would love to film another one of these videos sharing my thoughts and opinions on your unpopular opinions. So anyways, before we get started, if you guys like this look, I did this, I don't know how many of you guys will like this look. It's a little bit different, but it's my look that I created for my what I'm using instead of the Shane Dawson Conspiracy palette. And I like the way the look turned out. It's very unique and different, yeah, if you guys like it and want to see that video, I will link it. Anyways, let's go ahead and get into the unpopular opinions you guys have shared with me. There's not a lot of them, but I still feel like because I like to chat, this will be a longer video, so I want to go ahead and get right into it. Okay, so this first one gets a little spicy right off the bat. So this says, inner corner highlight looks bad and they ruin an eye look. Oops, with a crying laughing emoji. That definitely I think is an unpopular opinion. Although I don't think you're the only one who thinks this. I definitely think there's a lot more people who love an inner corner highlight and would disagree with you. I am someone who clearly loves an inner corner highlight. I have that inner corner pop right here, and I usually always do an inner corner highlight for my looks, but I do definitely agree and think that there is a better way to do it. Now, I don't know if you hate it completely or maybe you just don't like the way some people do it, because I think there's a way that some people do it where it's just too much and can ruin a look or be unflattering. And I know that sounds super judgmental, and I don't mean to, because makeup is very like personal preference. Is very personal. Some people may wear it a certain way and they like that, and it may be a style or way of doing makeup that other people, not a lot of people like, but these people do, and that's, if that's you, there's nothing absolutely wrong with that. But in my personal opinion, I have seen inner corner highlight done in a way that is kind of unflattering, and in my opinion that is when it's like too overwhelming and it kind of comes up to where it's like taking over the whole side of your nose. And I feel like it can kind of make your nose look a little bit wonky and more wide and like just be too much. But the way at least I try to do my inner corner highlight is to make it kind of really small-ish on the inner corner and then blend it down into the lower lash line and blend it as well as back onto the lid with the main lid color. And I feel like when it's a little bit more seamless and subtle, but with just enough pop to bring some brightness there, I love that. And so I think that's one of the best, most flattering ways to do an inner corner highlight. But I have been also known to do a pretty poppy inner corner, especially if I'm doing inner corner glitter, then I kind of really go ham. But you kind of have to, not have to, but like if you're adding glitter there, you might as well go all out, you know what I mean? So anyways, I definitely am someone who likes an inner corner highlight, so I don't know if I would agree with you that it ruins every look, but I can see how it could ruin a look. Next one is, I do not think the mega channels are a good place to get reviews. I do not trust when things have that much money involved with honesty. Now this one I definitely don't think is an unpopular opinion. I think this is a very popular opinion, especially right now in this day and age where we have discovered that so many big influencers are like how much they're making, and it has opened our eyes to what this is, and it's kind of does feel like, wow, we're just watching ads and we have totally fallen for thinking they're our friends and really they're just selling us. But that being said, I don't think that that's all the mega channels. I know that there are a lot that are very guilty of this, and in those cases, I feel like, and I've said this before in other videos I've done talking about this subject, and I think I might have even said it in my hot takes video, which is very similar to this video kind of video, I'll link that if you haven't seen it. But the thing is, I feel like with the mega channels, with the big influencers, I personally do not watch them because I'm looking for their honest opinion. I don't watch them for their honest reviews. I watch them for entertainment, and I know what it is. Like, will I still sometimes take their, you know, suggestions or recommendations? Sure. Will I still, you know, learn from them if they're doing a tutorial? Sure, of course. But do I take what they say and their opinions and their recommendations with a little bit of a grain of salt? Yes, absolutely. And do I watch them more so for the entertainment aspect rather than the real honest reviews? Absolutely. I know what it is, their entertainment, and I feel like that would be my encouragement to you guys, would be to watch them for entertainment, but definitely, you know, really invest your time to watch a variety of people. There are a lot of content creators here who will give your honest opinion, or give their honest opinion and feedback on products that aren't like paid off. And even those that do sponsorships and stuff like that, there's a lot of people who are still very, very honest in this community. You just have to find them. And there's, like I said, there are some bigger influencers out there, or content creators, whatever you want to call them, who I feel like you can trust. Like Raw Beauty Kirsty, I feel like she's a pretty big YouTuber. Maybe not in the grand scheme of things compared to certain ones we feel like are bought off, but she's a big influencer and I do trust her. I think she's always been very honest with sponsorships and things like that, and I love that about her. I love that she's honest if a product is good or bad or too expensive or whatnot, even with brands like she has been paid to work with, like Hourglass. I know she talks about Hourglass products quite a bit, and how she doesn't like the cost of their products because she's a cheap girl. She's, you know, she says something else, but anyways, she likes to be cheap and frugal, and the cost of their products, she says, made her sick. But does she really enjoy them? Yeah. But has she been honest of like, is this really worth that price? You know, no, like she's been honest about that stuff, and I think that's really cool. So anyways, I could rabbit trail on this topic quite a bit, but basically, yeah, I don't think that's an unpopular opinion. I think we all kind of know that by now, and you really just have to, you know, make the best decisions for yourself on, you know, the products you're buying and things like that, and take their recommendations with a grain of salt. Watch them for entertainment, but not necessarily for true reviews, you know what I mean? Watch more people and things like that. So anyways, let's go ahead and move on. So this next one's kind of a long one. It says, I'm not usually a pest when it comes to grammar, but for crying out loud, people, it's not more smoky, it's smokier. It's not more dewy, it's dewier. It's not more bold, it's bolder. It's not more deep, it's deeper. It's not more full, it's fuller. The list goes on. And almost every beauty YouTuber I watch has made this type of grammar error at some point, sometimes in every video. It wouldn't annoy me so much if it weren't so rampant. Am I the only person who's noticed this? Now, I actually have read these unpopular opinions. I've read them as they came in, so I knew what these were ahead of time before I filmed this. And I posted this quite a while back. It's been, gosh, a month ago. So I had planned to do this video sooner, but just haven't gotten around to it. But anyways, I will say that that comment specifically left me quite shook in a sense. Like, it really messed me up and had to think, do I do that? And I definitely think that I do. I do that. And I think for me, I actually think I mentioned it in my Pure Cosmetics video, because I think I had said more bold, and then, was it more bold? It was something like that. And I was like, it just doesn't sound right to say bolder. You know what I mean? I think for me, that's what it is like, it would feel weird to say, I want to make this more bold. No. It would feel weird for me to say I'm going to make this bolder than to say more bold, because bolder seems so, like, it doesn't sound right. I think of boulder and I think of like The Rock, you know what I mean? Like rock, the boulders, rocks. Or I think of like, I don't know, and I can understand like smokier, we're gonna make this smokier or dewier like that, but more bold, like that messes me up. More fuller. I don't know, I just feel like, is it really like wrong to say more instead of? Because the fuller, like when you do that, it still means the same thing, but it's just a like shorter word, you know, or one word for it instead. Like, is it really like wrong to say the double word? Because like if you were to say like don't, that obviously means do not. So it's not wrong for somebody to say do not do that. It's also not wrong for somebody to say don't do that. It's still the same thing. Like, so I don't know, I feel like I'm not super wise about grammar. I'm not There's some things that I know about grammar, like, you know, I know how to use and spell, you know, there, and there, and the things like that, those little things kind of bug me a little bit, because I feel like those ones they're really not that hard for people to get. But when it comes to little things like that, like, it just is weird. And I feel like if it's not common, especially like she said, it's so rampant, like everybody does it. I think when everybody does something a certain way and you do something differently, even if it's the right way, it can feel weird and wrong because you're not used to it. And that's probably the reason why so many people do it. Now, she does ask if she's the only person who's noticed this, and I would love to know your guys' opinion. Is she the only person who's noticed this? Because in my opinion, I feel like, yeah, girl, you're the only one who's noticed that, because I've never really thought much about that. And like I said, maybe that's because I'm not like a grammar police, like I'm not super knowledgeable about all of the grammar. I wish I were, but I'm sure there's lots of things I pronounce wrong, say wrong. I get tongue-tied all the time. And I don't know it all, but yeah, you guys let me know if that's something that bothers you. Or like for me, I almost feel like, what if she's just saying this to like prank me, so I start saying it wrong? Like, that's how my mind works, because I'm such a weirdo. Like, I'm gonna start saying smokier and bolder and things like that, and people are like, why are you saying that? No, that's not really gonna happen. But anyways, that comment has stuck with me, to try to say it the right way, to have proper grammar, but it also messes me up because I feel like this doesn't sound right. It's so weird. But anyways, I could rabbit trail. I'd love to know what you guys think about that kind of grammar issue. Alright, so this next one is from the same person who left the grammar comment, and she says, also, I think L'Oreal Lash Paradise mascara is sorely overhyped. It's nice, but not nicer than my favorite high-end mascaras. Now, I really can't say anything about this mascara because I've never tried it, but I feel like it's only overhyped, or overrated, as she wrote, sorely overrated. I think it's only overrated in a sense because so many people have compared it to, you know, the Too Faced BTS mascara, and saying that it's like a drugstore dupe. And I think a lot of people like that and look for that kind of stuff because, you know, mascara is one of those things that, you know, people usually try to replace every 3 months. Me personally, I'll go a lot longer between replacing my mascara, as usually 6 to 9 months. But anyways, so to spend like $30 or more on a mascara or on a product that you're replacing every 3 months, that's rough for a lot of people. So I know there's a lot of people who don't prefer high-end mascaras and really get excited about good drugstore mascaras. And I'm someone who, I do enjoy high-end mascaras quite a bit. But when I'm repurchasing, I'm often repurchasing the drugstore mascaras because I think they're great and they're just as good, and I don't feel like I need to spend $30, you know, on a mascara. So anyways, I really can't say if that is overrated or not, but I think, like I said, the reason it is because people have compared it to being, you know, the dupe of the Too Faced mascara. And so in that aspect, I mean, if it really is a dupe, then I think it should be, you know, hyped up a little bit, because if it's a more affordable option, that's a good thing, right? But I mean, obviously there is some people who are on a side for sure when it comes to mascaras. You're either all drugstore or you're for high end, and you know what I mean? Like, I am someone who's kind of in the middle. I definitely think I lean more towards drugstore mascaras, but I do have a lot of high end mascaras that I really love and appreciate. But do I like spending that kind of money on it? Absolutely not. So I'm all for hyping up the affordable options. Okay, this next one's really cute. She's, oh, Lucy's here, because I had posted on my community tab a picture of Lucy and this little sombrero. She's so cute. This one's a question, and it's not, I don't know if it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm just gonna read it and maybe try to answer it anyways, just because might as well while I'm here. And she asked, she says, okay, is there ever a benefit to using concealer before foundation, under the eyes, or for combating sallow areas? I use color correction, but also end up blending with concealer because I don't want 3 layers under my eyes with foundation, 4 with setting powder. Winter dry season gets me obsessed with ways for less creasing. Maybe I should just stop using the times 12 magnifying mirror. That is so funny. I would, for one, yes, suggest stop using that magnifying mirror, because there's times where I feel like I do my makeup from a, you know, decent distance from my mirror. I love the way it looks. I think it looks pretty good. I'm like, oh, my makeup looks flawless today. I'm feeling really confident. And then I'll grab a mirror and look at everything up close, and I'm like, oh, this looks awful. Like, why do I think this looks good? And then I feel insecure the whole rest of the day. And the thing is, though, that that makeup up close really doesn't look the best. You know what I mean? From afar, like most makeup, I'm sure there's lots of people who wear, you know, makeup and it looks pretty good close up. There's lots of times where I have good makeup days where I feel like up close my makeup looks pretty good, but I feel like oftentimes really, really close up makeup isn't gonna look the best. But no one's looking at you, you know, like that. You know, people are looking at you from this normal distance, and as long as your makeup looks good from a normal human distance, I say don't even worry about it. Put away the magnifying mirror. No one needs to see their face that close up unless you're, you know, trying to extract a pimple or something like that. So that would be my one tip. But concerning using concealer before foundation, honestly, I much prefer to use it after foundation for the reason that you will end up using less product. Most people who use concealer before foundation end up using a lot more product than they need. The whole reason why a lot of people say do your concealer after is because your foundation is obviously going to provide a good amount of coverage to your, you know, your under eyes, and if you suffer for dark circles like me, it won't provide enough coverage, so you definitely will need to go in with a concealer. That's a given, but probably not as much as you think you would need if you didn't already have foundation there, you know what I mean? So putting the foundation on first, you know, add some coverage, and then you know how much concealer you need to add on top of that, and it's a lot less, like I said, than you would think. And that's good in a few different ways. For one, you're not going to get your makeup too cakey, and for two, you're not going to use up your concealer too fast and things like that. Now, you mentioned color correcting, and obviously you do want to color correct before foundation, and that is just because once you have your foundation down, if you're going to go in with like a yellow or an orange or something like that color corrector, or if you're doing, you know, concealing red spots, usually using a green color corrector, trying to blend that on top of your foundation, it's not really going to work. I mean, you can attempt it, but it's not really how those are supposed to work. They're supposed to kind of help color correct your skin before foundation, so it's a more of an even base before foundation. The only thing you would need to do before foundation would be to color correct. And there are lots of color correctors out there that I think are pretty lightweight. Like the one I used to color correct a long time ago, I don't anymore because I just don't think it's that necessary. I'm really not that worried about it. So if you want to use less products, I just say stop color correcting unless your dark circles are really that bad. But anyways, the ones I'd used before are from LA Girl. They're pro concealers. They have lots of color correctors, and I really love those ones because for one, they're very cheap, but also they're very, very thin and very, very skin-like. They're not too thick and you won't get too cakey, at least in my experience using them, because I used to combine the yellow and the orange to create my perfect color correcting shade. Color correct, then do my foundation, then do concealer and things like that. And it's so lightweight that even though, yes, you have 3 to 4 layers under your eyes, it doesn't seem like that and it doesn't get too cakey. So if you're color correcting, yes, do that before foundation. Find one that's very, very lightweight. Use a very, very little bit and use a sponge to apply, so that's absorbing any excess product that doesn't need to be there. Go lightly over it with your foundation. Again, use a sponge if you're really worried about too much product there, and then go over with your concealer, and that's going to be the best for you. I personally love powders. I always set my products with powder because I feel like that really, you know, sets it in, you know what I mean? So it really is up to you if you feel like you need powder. If you have dry skin, oily skin, I'm not quite sure. But I feel like there are ways to do it and it doesn't get too cakey, too heavy. I hope that answers your question. I'm not sure if it does or not, but personally, I would say if you're trying to avoid being too cakey, do your concealer after foundation. That's going to be the best. And while, yes, if you think about it, that's several layers of product on your skin, everybody kind of does it. Like, I think about the layers of product I have on my skin, but yet I can look at my skin fairly close up and it doesn't look too bad because I don't like having cakey face. And I got quite a bit of layers on my skin right now, but I feel like it still looks pretty good. So don't necessarily think about how many layers, and don't use the 12 times magnifying mirror, and I think you'll be a lot happier. All right, the next one from my community tab says, I do not like it when they say underneath the eye. This is another kind of grammar one. I'm probably guilty of this too, like saying underneath the eye and meaning the lower lash line. I feel like for the most part I say lower lash line, but I'm pretty sure I am guilty of saying underneath the eye. And I'm kind of curious, why does that bother you? Is it something because it's like literally you're thinking underneath your eyeball, or like would you say underneath your lashes? Like, I don't know, what would you prefer people to say instead of that? Like, I don't know, I'm someone who's like, I guess I'm, you know, weird in the sense that certain grammar or grammatical things don't necessarily bother me as long as I really know what you're saying. Like, I'm not really too picky about how people are saying things. And maybe that's because I am like part like Mexican. Even though I don't speak Spanish, I really wish my parents taught me Spanish. Anyways, I did grow up with both my parents speaking Spanish and growing up with people who learned English as a second language, and their accents and things like that being very hard for other people to understand, and the way they pronounce things being not quite right when it comes to like correct English and things like that, but I still understand anyway. So I don't know, I feel like I'm a lot more understanding to people who are not perfectly grammatically correct and things like that. So it doesn't bother me, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but anyways, let's go ahead and move on. So these are some responses I got on Instagram, and this first one I really like. This one says, I like imperfections on skin. And I definitely think that is an unpopular opinion, but I wish it weren't. I agree in a sense, I guess. It's not like I feel like I would say, like, if I got a pimple, I like that I have a pimple on my skin, or I like whatever. But if it's in the sense of like, maybe you have a scar that makes your skin unique, or maybe you have like a mole, or you know what I mean, something that maybe you could possibly be insecure about and makes you less perfect or different than others, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And I don't think that we should be so in this mindset of having to have perfect skin or having to look perfect, because the reality is we're not perfect. Every one of us is unique. We all have imperfections, and instead of putting ourselves down over them, I think we should embrace them and love ourselves anyways, because, you know, because our beauty or outside appearance shouldn't change how we feel about ourselves, you know what I mean? So like, I don't know. I know that's a really hard one, and that's definitely an unpopular opinion, but I love that she wrote this down and said that I like imperfections on skin. I think I agree. I think that's really cool, and I really appreciate those people who, especially content creators, influencers, who will share photos and stuff of their skin unfiltered and like photoshopped and stuff like that, because too many times we see these perfect faces and this perfect skin and it's not real. But a lot of people have a hard time realizing that it's not real, or remembering that it's not real, and then feeling bad about themselves because their skin doesn't look like that. But the thing is, no one's skin looks like that. No one has perfect skin like that. So embrace the imperfections in your skin, and know that nobody's skin's perfect. So I love that one. That was a really great one. This one's like a twofold one. It says, you don't have to be tan to be beautiful. I'm tired of people bashing pale skin, calling it pasty, sickly, or ghostly, as if pale skin is a bad thing. Embrace your skin color. That's a really good one, and I feel like that is kind of unpopular because people love tan skin. I will admit, I love my skin when it's tan. I don't think there's anything wrong with my skin. Like, I don't think I have before said anything bad about my skin when I've lost my tan from the summer, except for just like I need to change my foundation shade. But I do know that I feel like tan skin is something that is very coveted in a sense. Like, there's something and it's because like tan skin is beautiful, but pale skin is beautiful too. I think all skin tones are beautiful, and I think you just have to kind of embrace the skin tone you have and just love the skin you're in. Kind of like the other unpopular opinion I just shared is like, love yourself as you are, imperfections and all, skin tone and all. But I do think it's kind of interesting to note that calling it pasty, ghostly, sickly, because I know a lot of people who have pale skin refer to their skin like that. It's not necessarily people who are tan. Maybe there are, I'm sure there are probably some people who are tan who will say, you know, light skin or whatever is ghostly, sickly, whatever. But I know there's a lot of people who have the pale skin and call it sickly, call it ghostly, call it whatever in a negative context. And some of the people I watch will say that jokingly, just kind of joking about their skin tone. But I feel like it's true that pale skin can kind of get this like negative vibe or whatever. Like, if you're pale, you're just like, it's gross or whatever. And yeah, I think that could be kind of tough for somebody who has pale skin and wants to embrace their pale skin, but everybody's talking about how pale skin is pasty, sickly, and ghostly, you know? Just because you have pale skin doesn't make you ghostly or sickly or anything like that. My daughter has a very, I wouldn't say her skin is pale. She's very light skinned, and I'm much darker than she, but I think she has beautiful skin. Like, I don't know. So yeah, I kind of agree like that. Embrace your skin color. I thought that was a really great unpopular opinion. Okay, this one's a long one. I don't have much. My biggest one is when they're talking about how old they are and their 25 to 30-ish range. It can be a little intimidating to us older ladies if they think that about themselves. Imagine how us old ladies feel, LOL. So a lot of these ones are kind of pretty deep actually, and I kind of like that. I think we're kind of breaking this whole like putting down things that shouldn't be put down, like imperfections shouldn't be put down, pale skin shouldn't be put down, tan skin shouldn't be put down, you know what I mean? Nothing like that. Being old shouldn't be put down or talked about as if it's a bad thing. And I think that's very, very true. So I'm 35. I don't know if I've been guilty of saying like I'm old or anything like that. I mean, there's definitely times where I definitely feel old, like just mentally or physically just feeling old, but I know I'm not old. I'm 35. I know I'm quite a bit older than a lot of the other content creators and beauty influencers in this community, but I'm not, I wouldn't sit here and be like, I'm so old or I'm too old to wear this or do that. You know what I mean? I don't know. I've never been one to feel like that. And that's something that like I find kind of frustrating is when people are like, oh, you know, you shouldn't wear glitter if you're this age. Just like, you know what, I love glitter. I'm 35, I have 3 kids, you know, I'm a mom, I go out and do mom stuff and I still rock some glam looks, and who cares? Why? Because I'm 30, I can't wear this. So anyways, I totally love this. And I think that is a good thing to kind of take note of and to mention for especially those who are like in their 20s or, you know, whatever, and they're being like, I'm so old or I'm this or whatever, because you know, there is actually a big audience of women, you know, in their 40s and up on the platform watching and things like that. And so they still want to maybe learn or do some of the makeup things that younger girls are doing. And I think that's cool. There's nothing wrong with that. So for someone younger to say something bad about being old when they're still super young can be a bit frustrating. I definitely agree with that. That is very annoying. I actually admit that I get annoyed sometimes when I'm watching someone who's like 22 or something and they talk about being so old, and I'm just like, I roll so hard you could hear it because you're not old. Stop it. Okay, only a couple more. This one says, bronzer just looks like dirt on people's face. I would say I disagree, but I could see how that can be a thing totally. That's really harsh. I feel like this is a personal tag. I don't know if this person thinks that about me or not, because I did see a comment on one of my videos that I posted a bit ago, and the comment ended up being deleted before I can like look at it, but because I saw the notification, but then when I clicked on it, it was gone. So like the person must have changed their mind, but basically they were like, the bronzer just looks like dirt on your face, or it looks like you just rubbed dirt all over your face, or something really mean like that. And I was like, it made me laugh. So like I don't care when I get comments like that, but still I'm like, is this towards me or what? But anyways, I can say that there are times where bronzer can look like dirt on your face, and I feel like this is why you have to be very careful and cautious of the tone you wear, or the color, the undertone and things like that you wear. You should be really cautious. Like for me, and you guys know if you're familiar with my channel, when I contour my face, I actually use a bronzer, prefer to use a bronzer, because bronzers are tend to be a lot more warm toned. Some can be a little bit more orangey, and so not everybody can get away with contouring with bronzer. But for me, with my skin tone, I feel like that's what works for my skin tone. I feel like for me, that prevents me from looking like I have dirt all over my face. I mean, maybe not. Some people may still think it looks like dirt on my face, I guess. I don't know. But I used to always contour with cool tone contour shades, because that's the rule. That's how it goes. You contour with cool tones because it's creating a shadow and a shade on your face, and that's making it look more natural and things like that. But I realized after a couple years of doing that my face did look like I had dirt all over my face. Why? Because cool tone contour shades were not complementary to my warm skin tone, to my olive skin tone, and it looked like dirt. And so I since have switched to using bronzers for my contour shades. And I think this is where you don't always have to follow makeup rules, or no one ever has to follow makeup rules. There are some rules that are set in place to give you the best thing, you know what I mean? Like I was talking about with the color correcting. Obviously you want to do that under foundation. You don't want to do that on top of foundation. That is a makeup rule in a sense that is there for a reason, that makes sense. But sometimes there are rules that like you should break because they don't work for you. Using cool tone contour shades for me didn't work for me. It made my face look like I had dirt on it and it wasn't good. So I use warm tone bronzers for my contour, and that works for me. But is that going to work for everybody? No. And so you really have to figure out what works for you. Don't always listen to and follow all the rules. Work through what's going to be best for you and go with that, even if that means kind of going against what's normal or typical or what a product is supposed to be for. You know what I mean? Like, you really have to figure out what works for you. And I feel like for me, I like to use bronzers for my contour and it looks fairly natural, you know what I mean? But I mean, I do tend to go very ham with bronzers. I love bronzers. I just love the warmth of it on my face. I love the way it really adds some definition to a face. So I'm always going to be for bronzer and love bronzer, whether people like it or don't like it or think it looks like dirt. At least that I can imagine, I will always love it. I don't know, maybe that'll change, and we always change. But anyway, so I don't know. You guys let me know if that's a popular opinion or unpopular opinion. I definitely kind of disagree, but I could see how that could be a thing. Like I said, there was a time where I feel like it did look like, the contour shades look like dirt on my face. So I don't know, you know? All right, let's move on. Matte makeup ages you. Not saying just you, but in general. So I appreciate the disclaimer because I wasn't sure with the last one. So this is like just saying in general, matte makeup ages you. I do think this kind of could be an unpopular opinion because most people tend to like, wait. People seem to say that like dewy skin is what makes you look more youthful. So I guess, yeah, if you were to use matte shades, I don't know if that's an unpopular opinion or not. I do feel like though, when it comes to eyeshadows, people always recommend for more mature people to use matte shades because the shimmer shades will look crepey or make you look older. So I feel like, I'm not sure like where this one hits, but I can say that I do kind of think that matte, like foundations, super matte foundations can age the look of skin. I'm thinking too, like I recently reviewed the Juvia's Place I Am Magic foundation, and that is a super dry, super matte foundation, and I definitely feel like that foundation it ages the skin. I used it on one of my friends who's a few years older than me, and it made her skin look very aged. I didn't like the way it looked on me, and so I definitely feel like that can age the look of the skin, and so I kind of agree with that. So I don't know what you guys think. I definitely think a dewier look. I like just more natural foundation. I don't like dewy foundations because I don't like them feeling like dewy, but if they just look dewy but dry down nice, you know what I mean? I've had this spiel before, you guys know. But anyway, so matte makeup ages you. Yeah, I agree actually. Next one is a full coverage foundation looks awful in real life. I kind of agree with that too. I mean, but that's just personal preference because I like more natural finish makeup or foundation especially. Full coverage, I think it just really depends. But I will say that I know a few people in real life who really prefer full coverage foundations, and I'm not a fan of the way it looks. Now they like the way it looks, and I think that's great, and I would never be mean or whatever, but I have, because there are people that I know and I love, and they trust my opinion, have told them that I don't think they need the full coverage, and I think their skin would look amazing with a different foundation, and they have taken that advice and suggestion in a very kind, good way, and knowing that I'm not trying to be mean or judgmental or whatever. But yeah, some people just like the way a full coverage foundation looks. I personally don't care for the way it looks, especially in person, because it is in my opinion just so unnatural and sometimes unnecessary. I feel like, interestingly enough, a lot of people that I know, at least in real life, who like or prefer full coverage foundation don't actually even really need it. So I'm kind of like, why do you feel like you want or like this full coverage, like you don't have, like your skin's beautiful, like why wouldn't you just like rock your beautiful skin? And I understand that sounds maybe super judgmental because no one needs makeup. People do it because it's a type of art and they just like it, and so in that aspect, that's great. I totally understand that. But sometimes I'm just like, if I had that kind of skin, you know, I would not be covering that up. And even me, I don't have perfect skin, and even me, I still won't wear full coverage foundation. I don't prefer it because I don't care if my imperfections show through. Like, I'm not worried about covering up a blemish or a zit or whatever. I just will, you know, do my full face. Don't get me wrong, I do a full glam beat quite often, but I don't even feel the need to like super cover all my imperfections with a full coverage. So I don't know. I feel like I mean to say, but I kind of agree. All right, so we have one more left, and this one is another one concerning highlight. This one says, highlight on the tip of the nose makes the nose look longer, and on top of the lip, it looks like a mustache. Now, this one doesn't say whether they like this or not, so I don't know how they feel about that, if they're saying this because they don't like it, or if they're just stating a fact. But if stating it as a fact, yes, I agree. I don't know if this is an unpopular opinion, because I think as far as putting highlight on the tip of the nose makes the nose look longer, that's actually the main point and reason to do highlight on the tip of the nose, is you do it to make your nose look a little bit longer and more slim. And so you're trying to like focus the nose instead of making it look wide and things like that. Not everybody does this like the right way. So sometimes it can make a nose still look wider. It just depends on how you're doing it. But yeah, I think highlight down the bridge of the nose and then on the tip of the nose especially is supposed to kind of make it look more pointy, more long, more narrow. So I kind of think that's the point. Now, whether you like that or don't like that is really up to you. I like highlight on the nose. Sometimes I personally don't always do it the right way and make my nose look wider, but I just like the look of a shiny nose sometimes. And I have said before, I've called it this before, a highlight mustache. I've called it that before. Like, I always put highlight here and I call it my highlight mustache. I know not everybody loves that. I feel like it's more of a pet peeve to people that they don't like it. But I'm someone who likes highlight here and I call it my highlight mustache. And I don't know, I just think it looks pretty. I like the highlight, I like the sparkle. So yeah, I guess I'm one of those people who, like, I don't know if that's unpopular or not. You guys let me know again. But anyways, that was it. That's everything for my unpopular opinions, or my reactions to your guys' unpopular opinions. I'd love to know what you guys think about the unpopular opinions that were left. Do you agree, disagree? Where do you stand on some of these unpopular opinions? And if you have any more unpopular opinions or thoughts that you'd like to share, please don't hesitate to leave a comment. I'd love to hear from you. But anyways, with all that being said, I just want to thank you so much for watching, and until next time, much love and hugs to you. Bye, beauty babes. Mwah!